Good evening, my friends. Tonight, I want to take you somewhere most people never dare to go. Not because it is complicated, but because it is too simple to be believed. It is about money, yes, but not in the way you have been taught to think about it. It is about wealth, success, and the invisible force that shapes both. And if you truly understand what I'm about to share, you will never again look at your circumstances the same way. At this very moment, somewhere in this world, one man is resting in a mansion surrounded by comfort, while another lies awake with worry, uncertain about tomorrow. One is called successful, the other is called unfortunate. Yet both are experiencing a reality shaped by something far deeper than what the eye can see. Both are living inside assumptions they have accepted as truth. The difference is not what they have, but what they believe themselves to be. Not long ago, after a lecture, a young man approached me. He was intelligent, composed, and clearly disciplined. He told me he had been practicing visualization every single day. He imagined money, he pictured wealth, he saw himself holding it, counting it, living with it. And yet nothing in his life had changed. There was frustration in his voice, the kind that comes from doing everything right on the surface while missing something essential beneath it. So I asked him a simple question. When you imagine wealth, are you imagining receiving it, or are you imagining being the one who already has it? He paused, and in that pause, everything was revealed, because there is a world of difference between hoping for something and being it. One comes from lack, the other from identity. Most people unknowingly live in the state of asking. They imagine money coming to them, opportunities finding them, success arriving someday. But in doing so, they reinforce the idea that they do not yet have it. They remain in the position of the one who is waiting. And life, being a perfect mirror, continues to reflect that waiting. The truth is far more direct. Wealth is not something you get. It is something you become. It is a state of being, a quiet assumption, a natural identity. The man who is wealthy does not spend his days thinking about becoming wealthy. He simply moves through life with a sense of ease, a calm certainty that things work in his favor. There was a woman I once knew who lived a very ordinary life by all external standards. She worked long hours, earned just enough to get by, and had no visible path to financial freedom. But inwardly, something about her was different. Every night, before she fell asleep, she would enter a state where she was no longer limited by her circumstances. She would feel herself as a woman who already had more than enough. She did not beg for money. She did not imagine it coming from somewhere far away. She simply felt what it would be like to already live without financial concern. She felt the calm, the comfort, the naturalness of it. And she repeated this, night after night, until it became familiar. To others, it looked like imagination. To her, it felt like reality. And then, one day, something changed. An unexpected inheritance came into her life, something she could not have predicted. But what is most remarkable is not the event itself. It is her reaction. She was not shocked. She was not overwhelmed. She felt as though it was normal, as though it belonged to her life. Why? Because in her mind, she had already lived it. This is the principle most people miss. The outer world does not create your identity. It reflects it. It follows it. It rearranges itself according to it. What you consistently feel yourself to be will eventually appear in your reality. You are not separate from wealth. You are not outside of abundance trying to reach it. The idea that something is missing is itself the illusion. Everything you see in the world, every form of success, every form of money is simply a reflection of consciousness expressed in different ways. The moment you understand this, something shifts. You stop chasing and you start becoming. And becoming does not require force. It does not require struggle. It requires a change in how you see yourself. It begins with a question that is far more powerful than it seems. How would I feel if money were no longer a problem? Not how would I feel if I got it? That still implies you do not have it. But if it were already settled, already handled, already part of your life, how would you move? How would you think? How would you carry yourself? There would be a quiet ease, a sense of stability, a calm that does not need to prove anything. That is the feeling you must learn to recognize, not as something distant, but as something available now. Because that feeling is the doorway, and stepping into it is the beginning of everything changing. Now let us go deeper, because understanding this idea is one thing, but living it is something entirely different. Many people hear this and immediately ask, how can I feel wealthy when my current situation clearly says otherwise? How can I assume something that has no evidence yet? And this is where most people stop. They look at their circumstances and treat them as the final authority. They believe what they see must define what they are. But that is not how it works. What you see is only a reflection of what has already been assumed and accepted. Your present reality is not a fixed truth, it is a delayed response. There was a man who once came to me in complete distress. He was deeply in debt, overwhelmed by pressure, and convinced that his situation had no solution. Every day he was surrounded by reminders of lack, bills, calls, responsibilities, all pointing to the same conclusion. He believed those conditions were facts, and in one sense, they were. But they were not permanent truths. They were the result of a state he had been living in. So I told him something that challenged everything he believed. I told him to stop identifying as the man in debt, not to ignore his responsibilities, but to stop defining himself by them. I asked him to begin each night to feel what it would be like if all of it were already resolved. To feel relief, to feel freedom, to feel the calm certainty of someone who has nothing to fear financially. At first, it felt unnatural. His mind resisted. His senses argued against it, but he continued. Night after night, he returned to that feeling, not forcing it, but allowing it, becoming familiar with it. For weeks, nothing changed on the outside. And this is the part where most people give up. They assume it is not working. They return to old thinking. But he persisted. And then something shifted. An opportunity he had completely forgotten about suddenly turned into a significant financial gain, enough to clear his debts and change his situation entirely. And just like the woman before, his reaction was not shock, it was recognition. Because inwardly, he had already become that man. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Because the world responds to who you believe you are. Think about something as simple as breathing. You do not worry about your next breath. You do not question if it will come. You assume it. And because you assume it so naturally, it happens without effort. Wealth, in its true form, operates the same way. Not through tension, not through fear, but through assumption. When you no longer treat it as something uncertain, it begins to feel normal. And when it feels normal, it becomes natural. So how do you practice this? In the morning, before the world rushes in, take a few quiet moments and decide who you are. Not based on your current situation, but based on what you choose to experience. Feel that identity, even if only for a minute. Let it settle into you. Throughout the day, observe your reactions. When money comes to mind, notice if you are responding from fear or from ease. Gently shift back to the feeling of stability, the sense that everything is already working out. And at night, just before sleep, return to that state once more. Not asking, not wishing, but being. Feeling yourself as someone who is already supported, already secure, already free. Do this consistently, not perfectly, but sincerely, because repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity builds belief, and belief, when sustained, becomes reality. You are not trying to become wealthy. You are remembering that you are not separate from it, that what you call abundance is not something outside of you, but something expressed through you. The difference between those who have and those who do not is not luck, not opportunity, not background. It is identity. One assumes they are supported, the other assumes they are not. And life faithfully reflects both. So the question is not whether wealth is possible for you. The question is, who are you willing to be right now? Because the moment you decide, truly decide, something begins to move. Quietly at first, beneath the surface, but powerfully. The outer world will follow. It always does. All it needs is a clear signal. Become the one who already has, and let reality do what it has always done. Catch up. Good evening.